You can have your face on billboards in 3 cities, millions of Instagram followers hanging on your every post, and endorsement deals that make your bank account look like a phone number, and still be one bad season away from complete unemployment? On November 23, 2014, Odell Beckham Jr. made a catch that changed everything about his life 3 short seconds. You've seen it 1,000 times. Falling backwards, one hand, 3 fingers on the ball, defender draped all over him like a blanket. That catch turned him into a household name, one that people who don't even watch football could recognize. But here's what that catch didn't do. It didn't make him secure. It didn't guarantee him a long career. It didn't protect him from the cold next man up mentality. Because in the NFL, fame and job security, 2 completely different things. In this league, stardom arrives like a lightning strike, fast and bright and impossible to miss. But security? That's something else entirely. Something that barely exists even for the biggest names in the sport. The thing about NFL stardom that nobody really talks about is how it shows up way before you've proven you can maintain a certain level of talent for more than a highlight reel season. Take Juju Smith-Schuster, who became one of the most recognizable faces in football. Not just for playing, but for his whole personality. Dancing on team logos before games, viral TikToks racking up millions of views, brand deals falling into his lap, because companies loved his energy and his smile. Then, his production dipped just enough for Pittsburgh to decide they didn't need him anymore. And suddenly, all that fame couldn't protect his roster spot. Kansas City signed him and barely used him. New England brought him in and he practically disappeared from their offensive game plan like he had never been a star at all. The harsh truth is that the NFL doesn't cut checks based on your TikTok engagement or how many people recognize you at the airport. It pays for what you do on Sundays when the stadium is packed and the game actually matters. When those numbers start slipping even slightly, the league has an incredibly short memory about who you used to be. Which brings us to an even scarier reality. Even when you're at the absolute peak of your powers, putting up numbers that make other players jealous, you're still not as safe as you think you are. But before we go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what we're about to break down will completely change how you see NFL stardom and the players chasing it. Done? Great. Now, the reality that nobody wants to face is that your window of elite production in this league is terrifyingly small. And it doesn't close gradually, like a door slowly swinging shut. NFL careers don't decline the way they do in other sports, with graceful transitions into veteran roles and farewell tours where fans thank you for the memories. They end suddenly, like stepping off a ledge into the abyss of the Earth's core. Todd Gurley went from being an Offensive Player of the Year candidate and the centerpiece of the Rams' offense to completely out of football in what felt like 15 minutes. In 2017, he was in legitimate MVP conversations despite being a running back, running through defenses like they were made of cardboard. Fantasy football owners treated him like gold. Defenders went to sleep having nightmares about trying to tackle him in the open field. Then his knees started failing him in ways that medical technology couldn't fix, and everything unraveled faster than anyone expected. The Rams stopped trusting his body to hold up. His explosiveness vanished like it had never existed. And by 26 years old, he was out of the league, with nobody willing to take a chance on him even for minimum money. Le'Veon Bell's story runs on the same track, but from a different angle. He was one of the absolute best running backs in football, the kind of player who makes offensive coordinators salivate when they're drawing up game plans. Held out an entire season because he knew his worth and wanted to get paid accordingly. Finally, landed that massive contract with the Jets, and almost immediately, the entire perception around him shifted from elite talent worth every penny to overpaid problem we need to solve. His actual stats in New York were fine. Not spectacular, but respectable enough that most teams would have been satisfied. It didn't even matter a little bit. Once you're expensive and not putting up absolutely dominant numbers every single week, the clock starts ticking down like you're in the final minute of a tied game. The NFL doesn't let you be pretty good for a decade. You need to be elite right now, this season, this game, or you're already on your way out to becoming irrelevant. And once that decline becomes visible, once teams catch even a whiff of mediocrity in the air, the business side of the sport kicks into overdrive and makes everything exponentially worse than it already was. Sometimes, though, it's not even about money or production. Sometimes your body just decides it's had enough and takes the decision completely out of your hands. Injuries are the great equalizer in the NFL. completely indifferent to your fame or your contract or how many Pro Bowls you've made, and the league won't pause its operations to wait for your inspiring comeback story. Andrew Luck was supposed to be the kind of franchise quarterback you build your entire organization around and sleep well at night knowing he's there. Then his body broke down from absorbing hits from 300-pound men who run like Olympic sprinters. And at 29 years old, he walked away from guaranteed millions and a certain Hall of Fame career because continuing to play meant continuing to be in constant pain. Indianapolis didn't put the franchise on hold hoping he'd change his mind someday. They moved on to Jacoby Brissett, then brought in Phillip Rivers, then traded for Carson Wentz, then whatever came next. Luck disappeared and the machine kept running like he'd been a temporary placeholder rather than the foundation they'd built everything around. Here's the thing. Once teams start questioning whether you can stay healthy, whether the risk is worth taking, whether you're still that guy you used to be, downward spiral accelerates faster than gravity. But here's the weirdest part about fame in the NFL. It hangs around way longer than your actual relevance does, creating this strange gap where people still recognize your name but have completely forgotten you're still trying to play. Michael Thomas broke the single-season reception record and was basically invisible in meaningful football within 3 years. Jay Ajayi rushed for 1,200 yards and made a Pro Bowl, then vanished from rosters like he'd been deleted from the league database. Devontae Freeman was a top 5 running back commanding elite money, then couldn't get teams to sign him even for veteran minimum. Vic Beasley led the entire league in sacks one year and was out of football shortly after, like he'd never existed. The media moves on because there's always some new young star making impossible plays. Next man up mentality. The league moves on because there's always another draft bringing cheaper, younger versions of you. Fans forget because humans have the attention span of a goldfish, and there's always something new and exciting happening that demands their focus. Stardom in the NFL is loud and bright like fireworks exploding across the night sky on the 4th of July. Everyone sees it. Everyone talks about it. Everyone remembers exactly where they were when you made that play that got replayed 1,000 times. Decline is quiet, like a candle slowly burning out in a room nobody's watching anymore. You don't notice it's gone until everything's already dark and you're sitting in the cold, wondering when the light disappeared. So, when you strip away all the Instagram posts and the endorsement deals and the highlight reels and the primetime games, here's what's actually true about stardom in the NFL. Stardom feels permanent when you're living it. When cameras flash everywhere you go and people chant your name and everything seems perfect. But it's not a lifetime achievement award or a guarantee or even really a contract that can't be torn up. It's a temporary moment that can end faster than anyone wants to believe possible. The NFL is brilliant at selling stardom, at making it look glamorous and permanent and worth sacrificing everything to achieve. What it doesn't advertise is that security barely exists. That stability is conditional, that teams will move on the second the math stops working in their favor. You can be famous before you're safe in this league. You can be a household name and still be one torn ligament away from unemployment. You can have millions of people recognize your face and still be completely replaceable the moment your production dips. That's not cynicism. That's just how the business operates when 53 roster spots need to be filled with the best available players right this second. And next year's draft class is already being evaluated. If you enjoyed getting your entire perception of NFL stardom completely dismantled, smash that like button like it's a game winner in overtime. Hit subscribe because we're going even deeper into how this league actually operates when the cameras aren't rolling. In our next video, we'll talk about why the NFL eats its own stars. And we'll break down exactly how the same league that creates these superstars also the machine that destroys them faster than any other professional sport in existence. We'll see you then.